Hello, 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 guys. My name is Coach Gates. I am the PE teacher over at Lillian Schumacher Elementary School. And today's health topic we're going to be talking about is nutrition facts. One of my most favorite things to talk about and focus on in my own life is nutrition and making sure I get the right amounts of the types of foods that I need to eat to be healthy. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about nutrition facts. So I thought, what better idea than to use what I'm going to be making for my wife and I for dinner tonight. So I'll be making spaghetti. So that's going to include noodles. So I've got angel hair pasta here that we're going to look at. I've got spaghetti sauce right here, Parmesan cheese, and I'll be using ground beef as well, but I don't have that with me at the moment. So we're just going to go with these three things. So let's start with our pasta sauce first. So in this jar, you're going to scroll or you're going to rotate it around here to the back side. This is the nutrition label. Okay, this is going to be on any sort of packaged foods that you guys can find at the grocery store. Even meat products and stuff like that are going to have a nutrition label on them as well. So the first thing that you'll see on a nutrition facts label are the numbers of servings inside of a container. So a serving is it's going to vary on each different thing. So like for my pasta sauce right here, there are 6 servings in this. Each serving is about half a cup. So I would use a measuring spoon or a measuring cup, to measure out each of those servings if I needed to. If I had a scale to weigh how much sauce I'm using, then that's also on there as well. So if you look closely, if I can get this lined up in the camera, up here at the top, you see nutrition facts. You see 6 servings right there per container. And then down here, you see the serving size. So half a cup is also equal to 123 grams. So if you had a little measuring scale like I do, then you could also measure that. Then below there, you're going to see the number of calories that are inside of a serving. So it says there are 50 calories per serving. That does not mean 50 calories for the whole thing. That means for every half a cup that you use of this, there are 50 calories in that. Now from there, pretty much any nutrition facts label is going to look the same regardless of the food that it's on. So then we go down just a little bit further, and you're going to see the fat content. Some items are going to have things like saturated fat, trans fat, unsaturated fat, all the different types of fat that are in it. My pasta sauce, however, does not. But it also says there's 0 grams of fat, so there'd be no reason to list the saturated, unsaturated fats. So 0 grams of fat inside of this. Then below there, you're going to find the sodium. Sodium. So whenever I think of sodium, I think of salt. So how much like salt would be in this? And there's 390 milligrams. That doesn't mean a whole lot to you guys. But if you look over here, so here's the grams or the milligrams of everything that we're looking at. Fats, carbs, proteins, all that stuff. And then on the side here are the daily values. So the percentage that you would need for every single day is kind of on here. So if we go back to fat, it's got 0 grams of fat. So I hit 0% of my fat content, fat intake for the day whenever I'm using this sauce. But then if I go down to sodium, if I use 1 serving, so half a cup, then I've got 17% of my daily sodium intake. So I want to watch my salt kind of the rest of the day. Really, anytime you have a processed food, it's going to have a lot more sodium in it because that's how it's preserved, so it lasts a lot longer in the fridge or in the shelves. So then we come down to the next thing we're going to focus on is the total carbohydrates. Now, it says total carbohydrates because in pretty much all the foods that we eat, there's going to be a couple different types of carbs that are in there, one of which is fiber. So fiber is something that helps you go poop. Then you've also got sugars that are in things. So most red sauces like this, spaghetti sauces, are also going to have some sugars in there. Sometimes it's added sugars. Sometimes it's naturally occurring sugars inside of whatever food goes into this jar. So the total grams of carbs in 1/2 cup serving is 11 grams on this. And there are 3 grams of fiber, which is 9% of your daily percentage that you would need. Total sugars is 7 grams, but only 1 gram of those 7 grams is added. So they only added 1 gram of sugar per serving to make it taste a little bit sweeter. And I will say I had a little bit of this last night because I made pasta last night as well. And it does taste kind of sweet, but it is really tasty. And then protein content is 2 grams. And it doesn't say the daily percentage because when it comes to protein, that just what's recommended for you to have protein-wise is determined by your size and your weight and how much muscle you have and what your daily activities kind of look like. So the more active you are, the more you work out and exercise, the more protein you're going to want. And then below there, we'll usually have the micronutrients, so like the vitamins and minerals that are below this black line right here. So for this pasta sauce, there's not a lot. There's a little bit of calcium and a little bit of iron. So that's our pasta sauce today. Obviously, if we think about this, if there's only 2 grams of protein, that's not going to be nearly enough of what we need. So this is not a good source of protein for the day, which we all need protein to help us build and maintain our muscle mass. It's got a little bit of carbohydrates. 11 grams is not too much. So we're going to need more carbohydrates throughout our day, which we're going to get from our pasta noodles. And those carbohydrates are going to give us great energy. This also has 0 grams of fat, as I mentioned, so it's not a good source of fat for the day. And we need good, healthy sources of unsaturated fat, which is going to help out with our hormones in our bodies. It's going to help out with a multitude of different things. Now let's go on to our pasta noodles. Like I said, I have angel hair pasta. That's the thin noodles. So for this, inside of this one package, there are 8 servings. And those servings are broken up by, so how they usually do with pasta is by dry servings. Dry means uncooked. So for this, there are 8 servings, and each of those servings are 2 ounces of dry pasta. So I could just weigh out 2 ounces or 56 grams of dry pasta. There are 200, can I get this right? Yep, 200 calories, as you see right here, inside of each of those servings. So if I was to make this whole thing of pasta, which I probably will just so I have leftovers, how I could find out how many calories are in the whole thing is 200 times 8. So for my older students, my 5th and 4th and 3rd graders, you guys can probably do that quick mental math right now or pen and paper. So 8 times 2 equals 16. So 8 times 200 is going to be 1,600 calories just inside of this one bag right here. From there, we go on to fat again. And so this one, as I mentioned, so my pasta sauce only just mentions fat. It doesn't break down to saturated, unsaturated, and trans fat. But my pasta noodles, they do. So you'll see here, it's got one gram of total fat in there. And then it lists out saturated fat, which is 0 grams, trans fat, which is 0 grams, polyunsaturated fat, which is 0.5 grams, and monounsaturated fat is 0 grams. So again, I'm not getting very much fat from my pasta noodles. I'm going to get a good serving of some healthy, some not so healthy fat from my ground beef that I add to this and my Parmesan cheese that I add to it as well. So then we're going to go down. There's 0 milligrams of sodium or cholesterol in these pasta noodles. But then we get to carbohydrates. Like I said before, carbohydrates is what gives us our energy and fuels our bodies for the day. So total carbohydrates in one serving, remember, it's not the whole package, is 42 grams of carbohydrates. So this is a good, that's 15% of the daily recommended value for carbohydrates. It's also got 2 grams of sugar and 2 grams of fiber within those 42 grams. And you can see that right here. 2 grams of sugar and 2 grams of fiber inside of that 42 grams of carbohydrates. And then protein is 7 grams. So this one has a little bit more protein in it than our pasta sauce had. Again, not a great source of protein, but I'm going to get that protein from my ground beef later. Also, so on my pasta sauce, it didn't have the ingredients listed right here on the nutrition facts, but it did have the ingredients if you kind of roll around here. And then this lists off all of the ingredients that are inside of that pasta sauce. On my pasta, it's got the nutrition facts all right here, which I just read off to you guys. And then right here is the ingredients list. And how to read the ingredients list is it's listed from the greatest amount to the least amount. So if we go back to my pasta sauce here, the first ingredient in this pasta sauce, which has the most amount of this ingredient inside the whole thing, is water, followed by tomato paste and sugar, onions, salt, garlic. And as I get further and further down this list, it's lesser and lesser amounts of each of those things. Then our very last thing that we're going to talk about today is our Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan cheese. And I will sprinkle this on top. So inside of this thing right here, so we had 6 servings of the pasta sauce. We had 8 servings that are inside of our pasta noodles. And then inside of this little jar of cheese, there are 45 servings inside of just this little thing. So the types of food that you're eating is going to be divided a little bit differently depending on how much of each thing you're going to eat. So I'm not going to, most people probably would not have the entire thing of cheese. That'd be way too much cheese, especially a Parmesan cheese, because it has a pretty strong flavor. So with this, our serving size is only 2 teaspoons. That's a tiny, tiny amount. Let me see if I have a teaspoon to show you guys. Okay, so let's see the difference here. This is a tablespoon, so pretty hefty little spoon here. And then this is a teaspoon. You can see the difference here. So I've got a little teaspoon right here. So that means that I could take 2 scoops out of this, and that's going to equal my 1 serving. There are 20 calories in 2 teaspoons. So 2 scoops of this is 20 calories, 1.5 grams of fat. So if I get it close enough here, 1.5 grams of fat, 1 gram of saturated fat. And remember, saturated fat is the fat that we don't want too much of. That's not going to be great for us. And then it's got a very tiny, tiny amount of cholesterol. It's got a very small amount of sodium, only 80 milligrams. Carbohydrates, it has 0. So it's got 0 fiber, it's got 0 sugar. And then the last thing here is protein. It's only got 2 grams. So like I said before, let's say I did 1 serving of each of these 3 things. My Parmesan cheese, my sauce, and my pasta. That's only 7 grams of protein from my pasta, 2 grams of protein from my sauce, so I'm at 9 total grams, and 2 grams of protein from my 1 serving of cheese right here. So I'm only at 11 grams of protein for the whole meal so far, plus when I add in that ground beef, that's going to help out as well. So we've covered 3 different things. Those are our nutrition labels. I hope you guys learn a little bit. I know me personally, whenever I'm at the grocery store, I'm looking at just different versions. Like I'll look at a bunch of different sauces before I pick one and try to find one that maybe doesn't have too much carbohydrates or too many sugars in it. I might try to find ones with a little more fiber or a little more protein. I do the same thing with pretty much anything I get. I always try to find what's the healthiest. And so if you spend a little time looking at nutrition labels, which you guys all have kitchens, go into your kitchen and look at the different nutrition labels and compare what's a little bit healthier than this. You guys have a great rest of your day.